going on, guys? I know I usually don't post that many long form videos to my page, and that's purely for the fact that I just don't have that much time available to me to edit a video that long. But I figure I want to start posting more long form videos to YouTube, so I'm just going to do some informal videos with, I guess, a vlog style, you could say, answering some questions and just showing you just how easy it really is to get into this hobby. And you could have been told by somebody that maybe it isn't, maybe it's too expensive, and da 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 da. But honestly, if it's something you want to do, just do it. The people you're gonna meet, the experiences you're gonna have, you're gonna love it. And without further ado, let me just show you some of the stuff that you're gonna need to get your hands on if you really want to get into this for serious, for real. Yes, that. First things first, your transmitter. This is gonna be the single most expensive thing that you buy. Now, depending on what your needs are, is going to depend on how expensive your transmitter is. My case, I started out with, I think it was a DX6i. Really nothing crazy. It has 6 channels, perfect for a plane with flaps and retracts. It holds a handful of models. If you're just getting into it, perfect. NX10, this is definitely for someone who's been in the hobby for a couple of years and is finding they need more than 6 or even 8 channels. But like I said, entirely up to what your needs are. People are going to tell you this, that, and the third. Do your own research, find out what's best for you. Then is going to be a parts box. And this is stuff that I've accrued over probably a decade worth of flying and crashing. And when I say crashing, most of this is from crashing, if I'm being totally honest. But when it comes to 3D printing your own airplanes, you really don't worry about crashing, because when you crash, you pull this stuff out of the airplane and you put it in something else new, which is something beautiful about getting into that part of the hobby. So something to think about. The foam airplanes, you crash, you got to pay a lot of money for a piece of foam, but definitely get yourself a good parts box to hold all your parts, and you're going to want to have some kind of a base to start off of if you're going to want to be on the tinkery side where you're building your own airplanes as opposed to, buying airplanes from a major manufacturer. Nothing wrong with that part. Nothing wrong with buying airplanes from major manufacturer. Listen, Horizon Hobby makes that, what is that thing? EC1500, and that thing is incredible. Next is going to be glue, guys. You're going to need it. You are absolutely going to crash. Something's going to happen. Or, again, if you're going to be on the tinkery side where you're building your own airplanes, you're going to need it. Personally, I love Starbond. Yes, I am sponsored by these guys, but I was purchasing this glue for probably 5 years before they even knew I existed. So just do with that what you will. They did, full disclosure, they did send me all this glue for free. But like I said, years before they even knew I existed, I was purchasing these glues because they're just that good. Never had an issue with these glues. The thick CA is great for filling in gaps. The thin is great for doing CA hinges. And this new 5-minute epoxy is just bananas how fast it cures. And it's rock solid too. And foam tack, especially for you guys that are doing Horizon Hobby, E-Flight, who else is there? Hobby King. You're going to need foam tack because this stuff is going to be a lifesaver down at the field. And you got paint and tools. I mean, this is also part of the hobby where you're doing your own building and everything. So this is very contingent on what your style is. If you're buying your foam airplanes and you're repainting them, then sure, have paint, have masking tape, have all that jazz ready to go. But if you're just going to be buying airplanes out of a box, throwing a battery in them and flying them, you really don't need this whole setup. But again, this is just decade worth of doing this hobby. You just accrue so much stuff. And while we're here, tools, you're going to need them. You're going to need all kinds of different tools to do all this jazz. Sorry, my wife has music on. You got your Dremel, you got your Z-bend tool, 100% really need that, especially if you're going to be doing your own building, mounting servos and jazz, screwdrivers, and just everything in between. And then finally is going to be what style airplane you want to have in your collection. You could be like me where you want a little bit of everything. You could have some warbirds, some stunt planes, some fighter jets, or you could primarily center around the stunty, crazy performance airplane, which personally I like. I like that type of airplane because you can do pretty much anything with these airplanes. Granted, the little Piper Cub and the Spitfire have their place, just if you want to do some nice circuits. But I'm telling you right now, once you get a taste of thrust vectoring, it's going to change your life. you're not going to want to fly anything else after that. Any other EDFs, at least after that. But yeah, man, definitely figure out what your style is. And it might take a little while to figure out what your style is. Goodness knows, it took me years to figure out what my style was. I started out doing all warbirds. It wasn't until recently I realized I prefer stunt planes drastically over the warbirds. And then when it comes to 3D printing, you don't have to start out with the top of the line Bambu Lab 3D printer. You could start off with the A1, which is a great budget friendly printer that works amazing. You know, you could start out with Elegoo. You could start out with Creality. There's so many different brands out there. There's so many great printers that you can start out with, and figure out what filament works for you. Do your research, go on forums, do your due diligence. Everybody's going to have an opinion. Everybody's going to have something to say. Take all that information, compile it, do your due diligence, and just figure out of all that what's going to be the best filament for you, value for money. Because let's be honest, it's money. The economy is a little funky right now. You got to get your bang for your buck where you can. Personally, after all the time that I've been 3D printing, I love the Bambu Lab filament. I really haven't had a better experience than with this stuff. But I just wait till there's either a sale or I have the money to buy a bulk order of 4, so I get 1 for free. But again, up to you. And then finally, batteries, guys. Find batteries that have the best value for money in terms of their reliability, how many cycles you get out of them. Yes, there is a finite amount of cycles that you will get out of a battery. No matter what anybody tells you, they're going to start losing their oomph after a certain amount of cycles. And you don't want batteries that are going to puff immediately. I know SMC has this crazy reputation, but honestly, after the first flight, both of my SMC packs started to get a little puffy. So do with that what you will. These are like, I think, double or triple the price of these Ovenic packs, and I've never had an Ovenic pack puff. So do with that what you will. Find the brand that works for you. If you have to go with the budget brand, go with the budget brand to start off with. And then when you start getting more into it, go with a higher end brand if you do so desire. And while we're on the subject of LiPo batteries, get a LiPo bag, guys. Get these fireproof bags, because odds are it's not going to happen, but all it takes is one time for one of these little guys to pop off and go. But just maintain these at 3.8 volts a cell, and you should be fine. Like, just keep on top of these things, because no matter what anybody tells you, they have the potential. The potential is always there. They're manufactured well, they're safe, but there's always that one time. Always have them in a fireproof bag whenever you have them stored anywhere. And with that, guys, that's pretty much it. Like, you're gonna have to figure your way out with this. You're gonna have to do a little bit of do your own research. You know, do your due diligence. There are going to be a lot of people in this hobby that can help you. Once you get into it, you're going to see that there are going to be guys at your field that are going to walk you through every step of the way. So you're never going to be alone once you get into this hobby. You're going to love it. And I can't recommend it enough. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments, and I'll try to get to them in the next vlog style video. But until then, I hope you don't crash, and I hope you have happy flights. Yeah, that stuff.